Welcome back to Cúilín Media. It is the preview show for this weekend's National Football League and National Hurling League action. I'm Aaron Prendergast, joined by Matthew Hurley, who's with us today. No Liam, no Seamus, so just myself and Matthew for this weekend. But obviously, no better man with the fact that obviously only one of our counties are involved this weekend in terms of football, and that obviously is Cork. So we obviously had to make sure we had Matthew on the show for at least tonight. But yeah, we're going to be running through all the 4 games, the hurling games, the LGFA as well. So yeah, anyone who's tuning in, hit the like button, subscribe, get your comments in as well. Let us know your predictions and everything else. It's a big couple of days for you, Matthew. I mean, we have Ireland tomorrow, and it is worth mentioning we are doing this on Wednesday because of the fact that the Ireland match is tomorrow. Yeah, look, we obviously know that ourselves want to watch the game. I'm sure you lads want to watch the game as well. But yeah, big couple of days for yourself, Matthew. I mean, you could have Ireland going to the World Cup in Cork, winning silverware in Croke Park in the space of a week.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting few days, I would say. To be fair, I remember us two actually exactly did the pod during Ireland-Portugal when Troy Parrott scored a brace and Cristiano Ronaldo got sent off, and I was raging that night. So thank God the podcast has now been moved to Wednesday rather than tomorrow night, and we can watch events go on in Prague. But yeah, it's going to be an eventful few days. Actually, a very eventful few days for our good friend from We Are Me, Davy Risman, who I was on the podcast, his podcast earlier, previewing Cork and Meath. He's going to Prague for the game on Thursday, and then he's flying back to go to the Cork and Meath Division 2 final on Sunday. So, eventful few days for Davy, I have to say. But yeah, no better man to do that. But yeah, a lot of, I suppose, not too much action to discuss as many as the last few weeks, but league finals, it's always a good time of year. It's always the time of year where the sun starts to come out, the evening starts to get a bit brighter, and obviously there is silverware on the line as well. And just delighted Cork are part of the weekend for once this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan says here, plenty of comments flying in as well. So cheers anyone who is tuning in. Ryan says, "Hey lads, chance for teams in both codes to get silverware before the championship." And Brendan says, "Evening lads, hope you all had a good week. League final weekend, a chance for these 8 teams to lay down a marker for the championship on the Kingdom." And Ryan's asking you a question here, Matthew, in terms of Cork on for the double. Could be on for the treble as well, really.
Yeah, I'd like to be fair, the LGFA team are doing very well as well. But yeah, the hurlers are going pretty well at the moment. Probably not as I didn't want them to go well in particular because the hype would never die down. But for the football team, look, it's we're living on a high at the moment. But anything can happen in the next few weeks. Obviously, in Munster, you do have Kerry in there, like the beast of the nature that is the Kingdom down there, and a bit of an omen as well. The Munster Senior Football Championship Trophy was renamed the Paddy O'Shea Trophy today, so that's probably an indication that Kerry are going to win it again. But look, it's going to be an interesting year for the Cork footballers. Obviously, this weekend isn't the be-all and end-all for the group, maybe to win a national trophy. But if they put up a good performance at Croke Park, I'm happy. There's not too much on the line. Obviously, if you are to win a trophy at Croke Park, it's brilliant. But yeah, championship will be a different beast, and hopefully Cork can compete with Kerry. It's on a Killarney this year, the Cork and Kerry meeting, if it does come to that. So it is going to be very difficult to beat them there. But yeah, you never know. Like the year that we've had at the moment, who's to say we can't, topple the achievements that we had already and beat Kerry for once.
Yeah, absolutely. Daniel says here, all right, lads, as a Kerry man, I take losing on Sunday. If it means Ireland do the job tomorrow and Tuesday, yeah, I think we'd probably all take our counties losing, to be fair. I mean, my county's losing quite a lot as it is. So yeah, there's probably no trade-off there. Brendan says Cork in a final. Yeah, maybe the Kerry fans not too happy to see Cork getting a bit of spotlight there. And Brendan also says here as well, potentially the second trophy named after a Kerry man. The Kerry will win first after its rename. And yeah, there we go. Well, look, speaking of the Kingdom, it is Kerry versus Donegal on Sunday, 4 p.m. Croke Park, the Division 1 final. We'll start with this game first of all. It is an interesting one because it's not often that, I think everyone going into the All-Ireland this season or going into the league and everything else after last season had Kerry and Donegal 1 and 2 respectively. I think a lot of people would have had Kerry 1, Donegal 2. Maybe some people would have argued. Maybe some people would have had entirely different opinions. But it's not often that you have maybe the two best teams in the country play each other in a league final, because sometimes the better teams tend to rest players, as we've seen obviously in previous seasons. But yeah, it is an interesting one. I mean, two teams that are very familiar with each other, played each other in the All-Ireland final last year, played each other obviously in the league. So what are we expecting from this one, do you think?
No, to be fair, I would have expected Donegal to reach the final because simply they need a national trophy on the board and they need to get to Croke Park more often to get used to it. From a Kerry point of view, I kind of expected them to take a backseat this year, considering they won the All-Ireland last year, they won the league, they won it all last year. They don't need to really prove anything. But to be fair to them, Jack O'Connor wanted them to get to a league final, I'm guessing, behind the scenes because of his home and winning a league and winning an All-Ireland. That they're here now. It might be a situation from Kerry's perspective that like they're in the league final now, they may as well go on and win it. But look, Donegal will be a very difficult opponent. But this is a massive test in a way for Donegal, because last year the game in Croke Park against Kerry, let's put it mildly hard, for an All-Ireland final, it was an annihilation. Kerry absolutely bossed it, and Donegal were nowhere near the races at all. And I'm sure Jim McGuinness would want to fix that omen sooner rather than later. Obviously Jack would want to win the league as well because of his home, and so it's going to be interesting in the light that both sides want to win it, and both sides definitely don't want to lose this game. So it's going to be an interesting enough watch, this game on Sunday. But it could easily be a bit of shadow boxing, both sides, I suppose, waiting for later on down the summer as well. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting enough game. But if Donegal can stop Kerry's key threats, I know this is probably obvious to say, but even look at their top scorers in the National League. David Clifford and Sean O'Shea are well above everybody else. Like their third top scorer is Dylan Ganey, who's got 2 goals and 8 points from play, but he's only played a handful of games because of his involvement with Dingle in the club championship. So yeah, Kerry have their obvious threats. Donegal have the likes of Langan. Shane Malone has done well this year, coming into the panel. I think he scored 3-7 from play in the league campaign. Conor O'Donnell's been absolutely exceptional. Obviously, the goalkeeper, Gavin Mulroney, he's been an absolute star of the league so far. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see that kind of light as well. Will Keith Evans and will Killian Trant and all them, will they get a run out in Croke Park? If they do, how will they deal with the Croke Park turf? Obviously, they played against Dublin, which would have been a good learning curve for these Kerry players. But yeah, it's a lot of interesting kind of narratives going to this game. And weirdly enough, I'd say a lot of people are looking forward to it, even though it's not, I suppose, the be-all and end-all to win the league for either side. But both sides don't want to lose the calibre of this game, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the main thing really from my own point of view is that I hope it is a good spectacle. I hope both teams put out their best players and treat this competition with the respect that it deserves. Like, I would be worried that we could see a bit of tomfoolery a little bit, like a bit of players not playing and resting players and maybe not wanting to give away tactics and everything else. Like, you feel like it is it's big for both teams, but I think for Donegal, like, to have the chance to get one over on Kerry in Croke Park, like, I know obviously, yeah, it is a league final and maybe it doesn't have the same expectations as the All-Ireland series and everything else. And look, maybe Donegal won't want to give too much away, and maybe Kerry won't want to give too much away either. So that's where the element of shadow boxing could come in. But it does feel like, especially for Donegal, like if they could, put in a top-class performance here and turn over the All-Ireland champions in Croke Park, like that could be, the confidence it could give the Donegal team could be absolutely huge.
It'd be massive if they do overcome Kerry, because this has been probably a problem from Jim McGuinness's times as Donegal manager. And I mentioned times in plural because obviously the 2014 All-Ireland final didn't go Donegal's way either. Obviously the 2012 game, Donegal seemed to be much better than Kerry, but they only lost that game by 2 points in the quarterfinal. So it's kind of an enigma sort of thing with Jim McGuinness and playing against Kerry. So he'd definitely want to win this league final to shut up the doubters in many ways, no matter what he says in the press in terms of the league competition, that they'll rest players or whatever. But I think Donegal would want to win this final, as would Kerry with Jack O'Connor, in terms of wanted to win the league title in terms of the omen of winning the league and then winning the All-Ireland after that. And a lot of Kerry players have to prove themselves as well, that they aren't just a team of unbelievable individuals in a way, like Sean O'Shea, David Clifford's performed well. Of course, Tom O'Sullivan in the last game against Armagh was absolutely sensational as well. So, and Joe O'Connor has been over the last couple of seasons. So, look, Kerry do have some very, very good players in terms of them but they need more of them to step up. I know that wasn't necessarily the case last year, and they went on and won the All-Irelands even with those star players. But they need probably more to step up to the plate in many ways, considering other teams. I'm not saying particularly Donegal, but other teams around the country might have figured the Kerry machine out in a way later on down the summer. So it's going to be interesting, the narratives around this game in general. So Galway went down to Tralee and drew. Armagh drew against them in the Athletic Grounds. They got a run on them in the last game as well. So look, we'll have to see how this Kerry team explode in Croke Park. If they do win the league, they'll be massive favourites for the All-Ireland afterwards. But if Donegal win it, I think it will set the All-Ireland up as an absolutely brilliant season, with probably the unpredictable value thrown in as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Brendan was saying this is a more important game for Donegal than it is for Kerry. I do agree. Like, I am a bit worried that McGuinness doesn't go full tilt just because of some of the comments he's obviously made about not caring too much about the league and everything else, and that maybe I do have a sneaky feeling he won't want to give too much away here, to be honest with you, and he won't want to kind of play his hand a little bit. Like, it is interesting, obviously, in the All-Ireland final last year, a lot was spoke about in terms of Donegal's approach to Kerry. Like, they had a very zonal system, and that obviously allowed Paddy Clifford and Sean O'Shea to have a lot of space at different times in terms of the game, in terms of the way that they were playing. So what do you think Donegal's approach will be this time? Do you think they'll go toe-to-toe with Kerry? Could they go zonal again? Like, I don't know about you, but I feel like for Donegal, I'd love them just to go toe-to-toe with Kerry. Just take them on at their own game, be physical in their own approach. Look, they might not win the game, but I don't think it will be a hiding like it was last year. Like, last season, like, obviously watching the game as a neutral, but obviously as a Dublin fan, not wanting to see Kerry win the All-Ireland and cheering for Donegal, it was so frustrating, their approach to that game, because it just felt like Kerry had so much time, so much space from Paddy Clifford to Sean O'Shea. You know, they actually did a decent job on David Clifford, I felt, in the game, but eventually, you know, there's only so long you can keep him quiet. So what will be Donegal's approach maybe tactically, do you think?
Well, what they tried to do, I don't think they zoned in on this way too much last year, was trying to get the right man marker for David Clifford, and they earmarked Brendan McCole. And as we all know, in the All-Ireland final, he got absolutely rinsed in the final. Like, I think it's just a matter of fact at this stage. Whoever you put on David Clifford, he's going to rinse them at some stage. Like, he's just that caliber of a player. Like, the Donegal need their best kickers and their best attackers to have excellent games. I know Michael Murphy hasn't stepped up in particular in the league, but that's probably the pleasing thing from a Donegal point of view, that more players have stepped up in terms of not just the usual suspects. Like, okay, Oisin Gannon's got 8 points in the league campaign. Michael Murphy's only got 6, rarely playing, of course. But you look at their score, like Conor O'Donnell scored 316, Michael Langan's got 23 points, Jason McGee 16, Shane Malone, as I mentioned previously, had a brilliant game against Monaghan last week, got 3 goals and 7 points so far in the league campaign. Gavin Mulroney as well. That's something that Kerry probably need to watch as well, and just earmark in a way that if you concede a central 2-pointed free, Gavin Mulroney will put the ball over. And Kerry can't afford to concede 2-pointers in terms of a league final. And Gavin Mulroney has proven that he can kick 2-pointed frees in Croke Park. That game against Dublin was the game where he kind of announced himself. Finbar Rorty has been very good on the attack as well. Peadar Morgan, Ryan McHugh, like, they have Conor McCahill, like, they have been very good, Donegal, and there's been more options. So I'd like to see these sorts of players flourish in Croke Park, because I think the likes of Shane Malone and Conor McCahill, if they are allowed to play football, have the opportunity to absolutely do damage against the Kerry defence. Obviously, Kerry were praised with their defensive structure last year, and the way they dealt with the Donegal key attackers was admirable last year. But there's always the thing with Kerry, if you run at them, let's see what they're made of. I think this Donegal team need to run at Kerry. Simple as. Like, they have the runners, they have the pace, they have the 2-pointed kickers in the likes of Michael Langan, and from a free in particular, from Mulroney as well, or other players around the pitch. they need to utilise them. They need to utilise the two-pointed kickers. They need to utilise their direct attackers as well to go for goal chances. And let's see what this Kerry defence is made of, because obviously they won the All-Ireland last year, but there's still some question marks about that Kerry backline. So it'd be interesting to see if Donegal actually run at this Kerry defence at full tilt.
Yeah, Brendan was saying I think Donegal would have been hoping Paddy would be playing to see if they can stop him as the quarterback of the conductor. Yeah, like he was sort of he was unbelievable, obviously, in the final last year. And look, maybe it might be in a weird way a good thing from a Kerry perspective. Not that he's injured, of course, but the fact that he isn't playing, because he aren't going to give anything away in terms of what he can offer. I seen someone else was saying there as well about Tom O'Sullivan probably filling in for that role. DC was saying here, I feel like Tom O'Sullivan is just going to fill in the Paddy Clifford role whilst he's out injured. Yeah, Tom O'Sullivan, some of the 2-pointers he scored against Armagh were just unbelievable. And it is mad. I know he's a defender, Tom O'Sullivan, but I feel like you can absolutely play him in the half forward line. I think he's more than good enough in my opinion. Grand Admiral Dane says here, must say, lads, usually I don't have much patience for the league, but this year it's been excellent. The championship will have its work cut out to eclipse it. It's been a fantastic league campaign. In fairness, DC also saying here, thing about man-to-man for Donegal is outside of McCall and Rorty. Don't think they can stop O'Shea, Joe, Dylan Gainey. I do agree, but I just don't see the harm in it. Just give it a go, because you could go toe to toe, and who knows, maybe Donegal might be better than we think. And that's something to take with them going into the championship. I don't think they'll get anything from the way that they played last year against Kerry, in my opinion. But just speaking of Kerry, in fairness, like in the last 2 games, they look like they've come to the fore. They look like they've clicked back into the Kerry probably in the final rounds of the championship. Like I know they had a 10-point lead against Armagh at one stage, and Armagh came back into it. But it is worth mentioning Armagh probably did have more to play for on that particular day. But there is vulnerabilities with Kerry, maybe in terms of their defence, but in terms of going forward, like there's no better team than them in the country, if we're being honest.
In terms of the numbers they're putting up, and in terms of their success, I think Kerry, there is an argument to be made for that. But you even look at their individual scores. Okay, Clifford's got 3 goals and 39 points. Sean O'Shea's got 32 points. Their next highest score after that is Dylan Gainey with 2-8. I know he's a good player, and obviously he had the club exploits with Dingle, obviously. Tony Brosnan, to be fair, as well, with 110. But there isn't much of a variety in Kerry scores, and possibly that could be a concern later on in the summer. I'm saying that as maybe nitpicking and things like that. Like, there will come a day. I didn't come last year, obviously, with Kerry going all the way and winning the All-Ireland. But there will come a day eventually where Sean O'Shea doesn't click, David Clifford doesn't click, and then you're thinking, what now? Who do we turn to? Like, Paddy Clifford's out injured. Okay, you have Dylan Gainey, you have Tony Brosnan, but are they capable of hitting 5-6 points at inter-county level from play? I'm not sure. So it's going to be interesting to see who does step up from a Kerry point of view. Okay, Keith Evans has got 1-5 from play. That's a promising tally. He got a good goal against Galway as well. But you feel like, for the supporting cast from a Kerry point of view, they need to be contributing a lot more than what they're doing. Okay, they're allowing David Clifford and John O'Shea to do the amazing work up top, but you need more players to step in. And obviously there is a question mark about their defence as well. If somebody runs at them, are they capable of stopping the key attackers? I think this will be a massive test for Kerry in terms of Donegal's kind of enthusiasm at the forward line. The likes of Shane Malone, if Conor McCall plays, Finbar Rorty even coming up and down the pitch as well, is a very, very talented player. So it's going to be interesting to see that kind of element from a Kerry point of view as well. But I'd be more interested to see what other supporting cast is going to be there other than Sean O'Shea and David Clifford. They have fiddled with Tomas Kennedy at full forward at the start of the league campaign, got 1 goal and 3 points, but hasn't really featured a whole pile in the last few games. I don't know, is that a bit of a concern? But yeah, we'll have to see from a Kerry point of view. They need like a settled forward line. They need settled supporting cast, and we'll see how they get on in the summer. And it's probably something that they do need to improve, but probably slightly. They are still one of the best teams. They're probably the best team in the country, but they probably need to improve on that aspect if they are to retain their All-Ireland.
Yeah, ASOS has given us an update here in relation to the under-20 hurling championship. I think that is Tipperary 10, Cork 8. So yeah, appreciate the updates and everything else. And actually, Seamus, to be fair, actually is commentating on one of the Dublin games, I think, tonight, the under-20 game. So fair play, obviously, for himself there. DC says, Aaron, great work in the top work and the watch along, great viewing on the final day. Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate the comments and the support and everything else. Ryan says, I know it was only round 1, but when Rossies ran at them, they should have beaten them. And Brendan says, this feels like a hopeful Cork man. Yeah, like I probably would disagree with you slightly, to be honest. Like I think Kerry have rotated at times this year in terms of their forwards. They haven't always, like Tony Brosnan played at the start. Tomas Kennedy played at the start. We haven't seen too much of them. Keith Evans has been in and out. Dylan Gainey obviously came back. I think it has been a concern in previous years, but I remember that being a concern with Kerry last year. And when it came to the quarterfinals, like they were still able to step it up. And I think David Clifford is that good at times. He's nearly worth 2 players in terms of what he offers to this Kerry team. But in terms of a prediction though, and in terms of breaking it down, what are we thinking in terms of prediction?
Despite what I'm saying about Donegal's lethal attackers and in terms of their spread of scores, I still think Kerry will edge it. I think it'll be about 2 or 3 points, but I don't think it'll be an absolute hammering. But I think I agree with one of the comments there. It is more important to Donegal than it is to Kerry. But I feel like Jack is in this situation now. He'd want to win the league title. Like it's almost like we'll get some players out of the league campaign. We'll give as many players minutes as we can. But then they're in a situation, we're in the final, we may as well win it now. We're the best team in the country, we may as well prove it. So I think Kerry will win the game eventually, but I'd like to think Donegal will put up more of a test on them than what happened in July last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I do agree as well. I do fancy Kerry to win the game as well. I think they'll probably win it out by 3 or 4 points in the end. Ryan has an interesting opinion here. Donegal 13 points, Kerry 11. I think it will be very cagey. Maybe 4 or 5 years ago I would have agreed with you. With the new rules, I'm not sure, but stranger things have happened. Maybe this might be an ultra defensive Jim McGuinness display or something like that for Donegal to win by a scoreline of that. But yeah, I do agree with you. I think Kerry have far too much quality all around the field in terms of attack. And there is a part of me as well that doesn't trust Donegal a little bit, to be honest with you. I don't really know. I just feel like they might not play their best players or something like that. And look, obviously Donegal probably have more to worry about in Ulster than Kerry have to worry about in Munster, with the fact that Kerry's early rounds. I know when it gets to the Munster final, look, it is going to be a very competitive Munster final this year. But in the early rounds of Munster, in comparison to the early rounds of Ulster, I think it is a complete difference. But yeah, I am going to go for Kerry to win the game as well there. There was a comment here from DC who said, Matthew, when is Kerry versus Cork in Munster? I think Jack will want to win it. Kerry probably won't have a meaningful game until then, which will be well over a month. Which again kind of boils into the point where I'm saying I think Kerry will go full tilt in this game. But in terms of that question there, what's your response there?
Yeah, I think considering Cork have got up to Division 1, there's nothing more to do what Jack O'Hatter want to do in Killarney than to batter Cork. That's Dean Kerry's DNA. That's what they want to do, in fairness. I'd like to think this group of Cork players can really put it up to Kerry this year, even though the game is on in Killarney. Like we've had probably poor seasons and we've gone toe-to-toe with Kerry in the last few years. We've now improved. I'd like to think we have got closer to them and we could get them even closer in the Munster Championship, but yeah, it's going to be still a difficult game. Like Kerry are going to raise their game, obviously, but we'll have to see once Munster does come down the line. Like you'd expect at this stage, Cork to get over Limerick, to get over Tipperary if it does come to that, and Kerry to get over Clare quite comfortably, and then obviously the Munster final will take care of itself. But it should be a competitive game for the neutral this year, and I think that's great for Munster football more than anything.
100%. And look, I suppose before it comes to Munster and everything else, you will have to worry about Meath this weekend. Obviously, not as much on the line as maybe a Munster final. Obviously, you are promoted. You got the job done. Meath are promoted as well. So, yeah, like is the it's going to be an interesting approach to this game. Like the shackles are off and everything else. You're promoted, the pressure's off. I don't necessarily think there's a huge amount of pressure really on Meath either. Do you know what I mean? So I think this could be a highly entertaining game. Obviously, you are the only team to beat Meath this year as well. It's worth saying in the league.
It is, but the thing is that game was in Páirc Uí Rinn, and obviously Meath came back into that game, and obviously as well as that, obviously the Imagor sending off had a huge role to play in it. But going down the home stretch, Meath were really testing us in that game, and it's going to be a very good game of Gaelic football. And I'm looking forward to this, considering I think both Cork and Meath and a lot of people, including Cork hurling fans, I will say this, have given me flack over this comment, saying that it's two traditional football counties in Cork and Meath. Cork are a football county, or traditional football county. They're a traditional hurling county as well, but you could say dual. And Meath, like when you think about, both sides have won 7 All-Irelands. Only Galway, Dublin and Kerry have won more. So both of these sides are historical football counties. The rivalry is coming back, but I think David Rispin described this brilliantly, I think, a few weeks ago, that Cork and Meath, they're becoming rivals again because we've met so often in the league now and we've gone up together, obviously. But it's a friendly rivalry as well, because both sides respect each other. Both sides would say we play absolutely brilliant football, the both of us. And the players, I would think, have respect for each other as well. Like, I've the utmost respect for Robbie Brennan as a manager and what he's done for Meath football. The positivity is back in Meath. I think it's just been sensational from their point of view. And likewise with us, I think John Cleary may have got a bit of a flack over the last few years, but like, he's stuck to his principles. He's been absolutely incredible over the last few seasons, and he's built a strong squad now that has competed against the top opposition and now is promoted to Division 1. What I'm looking for from this Cork team, I think Meath will probably think the same as well, to get as much experience in Croke Park as possible. And to just play free-flowing football. The TV cameras are in front of you. Let's just have this as a shootout. Like, it'll just be an absolutely brilliant game of football, I think. And but I heard during the week, I think it was in the football pod, that Meath might have less pressure on them considering they won the Tapton Cup in Croke Park. Cork haven't won a trophy in Croke Park since, I think, the league final in 2012. So that's a long time ago in Division 1. So the Cork footballers haven't won a game in Croke Park since 2015, the league semi-final against Donegal, where they rattled in 4 goals that day. But the Cork footballers need to be winning in Croke Park, is what I'm trying to say. So it is going to be interesting going down that angle as well. But I think both sides, the pressure's off them. It's going to be very interesting, and may the best team win. It's going to be an absolutely excellent game of football. The positivity is back in both counties. And I would say this game will probably be more entertaining than the Division 1 final, because the Division 1 final, there might be a bit of shadow boxing, might be a bit of nerves or whatever. But for the Division 2 final, I think these are two brilliant sides. They deserve to go up. And I think both play absolutely brilliant football. So, yeah, I'm expecting a good game.
Ryan says here, game of the weekend. Look, do you know what the thing is? The Division 2 final always tends to be an absolute cracker. I remember Roscommon Galway a couple of years ago was an absolute belter of a game. Although Monaghan won fairly comfortably against the Rossies last year, I did think that was a fairly entertaining game as well. Do think the Division 2 final does tend to throw up some very competitive games and everything else. There was a interesting comment here from Brendan saying, when did Cork footballers last play in Croke Park? Would Meath have the advantage in those terms? I think they played there in the preliminary round last year, wasn't it, versus Dublin? So not actually too long, and they actually have played in Croke Park. The footballers probably a little bit more than maybe you would think. Do you know what I mean? Like, they've been to a few All-Ireland quarterfinals and bits and pieces like that. But look, there is no doubt that Meath do have the advantage in regards to that. They've obviously played their home games in Croke Park this year. So look, there's no getting away from it. Meath have the Croke Park advantage.
Yeah, I think they probably do, to be fair. Like, this is only Cork's third appearance in Croke Park in 4 seasons. Obviously, the previous 2, we did get close, obviously, to Dublin. But obviously, the expression on Sean, I remember actually in that Dublin game last year, you could just see the expression on Ian Maguire and I think it was Colin Buchanan and Sean Brady. You could see the expression on their faces like, oh, crap. Like Cork were thinking to themselves, I think John Cleary was thinking as well, that was a game that was there for the taking. Cork should have probably won that game. And even as the most optimistic Dublin fan, I'd call you, Aaron, you probably would have admitted the same thing as well. Like Cork were very, very close in that game and could have easily won it that night. The Derry game in 2023, while not a great game of football, there was only 4 points between the sides. And that was a Derry team that really tested Kerry in the All-Ireland semi-final as well. So Cork usually go up to Croke Park and give teams a good game. But they have the key kind of stat here is they haven't won in Croke Park since 2015. And that's something that they need to break sooner rather than later. Will it be this weekend? I'm not sure. We'll have to see. But yeah, it's still going to be a very interesting game. It's going to be a good experience for these players. Like even I was chatting to Dara Sheedy and Sean McDonald actually on the pitch in Oman last weekend. And it's going to be Sean McDonald's second game in Croke Park, obviously after last year's game against Dublin. And Dara Sheedy's first appearance on the Croke Park turf. Like, I think this will benefit the players in terms of playing in the big house. The more you play there, the better player you become. And I think it's absolutely brilliant for these players to do so, because like that's where All Irelands are won. That's where big games are going to get played. So the more Cork get used to this, these surroundings, the better. And look, I think it'll just be an all positive this weekend, but we'll have to see how the game goes. But I do agree with you, and I agree with the comments there. Meath have an obvious advantage of playing Croke Park. Like even the subtle differences and things like that. I think Joe Ryan, actually, the Britain hurling manager, before the All-Ireland Junior final, actually mentioned this, or might have been Philip Wall, their captain, that Croke Park is not like any normal GA ground. And that might be cliche to say that, but when you think about it, when you're playing into the canal end, you're playing into a bunch of stands. Like it's usually in a GA ground, it's open. Like the wind is blowing, or they're blowing in your face, or it's blowing down the pitch. Like when you're poking or kicking the ball into the canal end, that factor isn't there. In Hill 16, it is. So it's differing kind of perspectives there. And like even something as small, even I was part of the SARS backward team going to the club games or the club finals in Croke Park, and someone said to me, actually, this is an arena. Like I think I think the more you get used to this sort of arena, the better player you'll become as well. So this is going to be all positive for the Cork footballers, I think, going up there. I don't think, and I've said it before, I don't think winning the game is a be-all and end-all. If they put in a very good display and they get used to the Croke Park surroundings, I think that'll be a massive positive for this Cork team moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I think the main thing for either team, I think for Meath or Cork, like regardless of what happens, you don't want to be on the receiving end of a hammering or a heavy beating or something like that, because then you could carry that into the championship. But yeah. Brendan says here, I think when it comes to Division 2 final, both teams involved that promotes are going to Croke Park. The shackles are off and can play freely. Yeah, absolutely. It does, it does ease the tensions and everything else. Grand Admiral Dane says here, feel like Meath will edge it as they'll want to get back at Cork, and these lads will be absolutely gunning for silverware as they had such a great year last year, yet 1-0. I think that's a great point. Yeah, like I know Meath won the Tailteann Cup like a good couple of years ago, obviously under Colm O'Rourke, and some of these players were involved, but yeah, but like for as good of a season as they had last year and 1-0, to beat Dublin, Galway, and Dublin, Galway, and Kerry, and not win anything, I think is very odd. So yeah, I do agree with you. I think Meath players look to be going to win a few things this year, maybe this game and also a Leinster championship as well. Ryan does say here, Matthew, when did Cork last win a championship match in Croke Park?
2013 against Galway in the All-Ireland qualifier.
Yeah, so that is quite the statistic, but to be fair, it is worth mentioning you did have a long spell obviously not playing there. So yeah, Porter says the tip Cork game not on TG Cahir, I think there is it.
TG Cahir YouTube, I'd say. Yeah,
probably. So yeah, Grand Admiral Dane asking the big question, the predictions then. Look, I'll go first to this one. I am going to back Meath to come through it. Look, I think with the celebrations and everything else, like it would have, I think with Cork having done it on the final day, I know Meath won it on the final day, but I think Meath I think they knew they're already promoted, and there was probably an expectancy with Meath to get promoted. I think with Cork, look, there would have been a bit of celebrations and everything else. Yes, they would have kept it professional and everything else in terms of preparation for this game, but I think the Croke Park factor as well. I think Meath will win it, but look, I do think it'll be close. There'll probably only be 2 or 3 in it, but I'm going to go for the Meath victory. What are you saying?
we got this far in terms of Cork having a positive season. I obviously have to back the lads to win this game. But my question exactly would be the same as yours. Like, will Cork be as up for the game as Meath are? Because obviously I've seen the celebrations in home, and rightly so. The players were well entitled to celebrate and going up to Division 1. It has been a long, barren spell of 10 years outside the top tier. So they were well entitled to celebrate, especially the lads that have given so much to Cork football over the years. So would the preparation have been scarred, I suppose, for this game? I think John would be the exact same as any other game. Like, he'd prepare as best he can during the week. I'd still have to bow. You know what? We've had a positive season. I'm still going to bat the lads by a point or two, but I think I'm just hoping for a very, very good game of football and let the result take care of itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, look, and to be fair, you've nothing to lose, to be fair. So yeah, should be a cracking game. In fairness, Division 3 football final, Down versus Wexford. It is interesting. Like, the Division 3 football final probably actually is the most important game of the weekend in many ways. Like, when you think about it, the winner, they won't be guaranteed Samagora football. Like, obviously, there will. It does depend on the provincial championships. But when you do look at the draws for the provincial championships, it does probably look like the winner of this game will get Samagora if everything else goes according to plan. So yeah, it's an absolutely huge game.
It is a massive game considering, and the context behind it is Kildare got relegated from Division 2 because they were Tailteann Cup winners last year. They automatically go to the Samagora despite being ranked outside the top 16 in terms of the National Football League rankings. So as a result, the loser of this game, if they don't get to a provincial final, will miss out on Samagora football. And I think, honestly, I'm going to say this, Aaron, and I think I'm sure about this. It's no disrespect, but I think Down will win this game simply because there's more pressure on Down to get Samagora football than there is Wexford. I think if Wexford go to the Tailteann Cup, they have a really good chance of winning the competition. I think I've been very impressed with Wexford so far this year. The players they've unearthed, obviously Dara Brooks in goal has been sensational. Sean Ryan there as well, Power Hughes, Mark Rossiter. Like, they've been absolutely brilliant in this campaign. And if Wexford were to win the Tailteann Cup, that would really signify that Wexford football is on the train back. But I think Down have been down this, well, pardon the pun, but they've been down this rodeo already. They've won the Tailteann Cup. They don't need to prove it again. And the way they competed in the All-Ireland last year, I think it'll be a real disappointment for Conor Lafferty if they were to miss out on an All-Ireland place this season. So, without sounding disrespectful to Wexford, it's absolutely brilliant that they're there. And hopefully, there'll be a good band of Wexford fans going up. Obviously, there is for the hurling. And obviously for the hurling, Wexford fans crowd out Croke Park. I think Seamus has mentioned this many times that there was more purple in Croke Park that day, the All-Ireland semi-final in 2019, than there was blue and gold, which was their opponent Tipperary. Like, it was full of Wexford supporters that day. Hopefully there'll be a lot of Wexford supporters up because these footballers deserve a lot of credit for the performances they have been giving. But like, with the players that Down have as well, the likes of Oran Barda, Pat Averin, Ryan McGill, like, these players deserve to play Samagora, Daniel Guinness. They deserve to play All-Ireland football, Samagora football. And I think they'll go a really good step in doing that by winning this weekend.
Yeah, Ryan says here, wish they could just go back to the qualifiers. Do you know, I kind of like the format. Like, I like the Tailteann Cup and everything else. I think it is a great competition and it's great for some of the other teams. Like, I did enjoy the qualifiers as well, and you would always get some mad stories in the qualifiers down the years. But yeah, I do think the current format, I do prefer it, to be fair. Sean says Down have to win and are further down in their journey. Ryan says Down blew their chance against Westmeath in 2023. They did win the Tailteann Cup though a few years after that, didn't they? Beating Laois.
Which year, I think?
The same year, was it?
Yeah.
Same year, yeah. So it is one of them from a Down perspective, where look, like, obviously, yeah, they did get over the line versus Laois. I do think with Wexford, I think, like, it is a weird one. Not having the pressure on them could maybe help them, because I remember even in that Tailteann Cup final versus Laois, it was a bit close. Like, I remember Laois got a couple of late goals and everything else, and it kind of made it a little bit interesting. But I do agree with you as well. I think Down are far too powerful, far too strong. the players they've brought through in the last couple of years. I think the most interesting thing about Down is, like, can they take the step that we saw? You know, Armagh I remember Armagh when they were in Division 3. You know, I remember them playing a Division 3 final against Fermanagh. I think it was in 2018. So, like, the question is, can Down go and now take that step up? You know, can they kind of push up, become a regular Division 2 team, maybe push up to Division 1? Like, it's interesting to see what the limit will be on this Down team. We were talking about the celebrations for Cork. Like, obviously there would have been a huge amount of celebrations for Wexford as well, like, especially after that late goal. So, to be fair, like, you'd imagine that probably did take it out of them a bit.
It did, but then again, like, even for these players to go up to Croke Park, even for the hard Wexford supporters to go up to Croke Park from a football standpoint as well, I think it's absolutely brilliant. And obviously the celebrations that they would have endured as well, they absolutely deserve it. They've been absolutely incredible in this league campaign. They've proven everyone wrong. Like, I predicted them to get relegated, and that was because obviously out of the two that got promoted for Division 4, Limerick actually got to the Tailteann Cup final last year. Wexford didn't do as well, I suppose, but Wexford have definitely proved everyone wrong this year. They've done absolutely sensational, and I think they'll be proud of their year no matter what happens on Saturday. Like, this Saturday will be a massive experience for these lads to play in Croke Park, to play against a team like Down that had done well last year, to beat the Leinster champions in Laois, that probably should have beat Galway and Norway as well. Like, Down have done very well over the last 2 seasons in a league and championship. And, like, Wexford were to compete with Down in Croke Park, that'll be a serious stepping stone in their development. But I think to further on Wexford's development, if they were to win a Tailteann Cup or get to a semi-final of the Tailteann Cup or even get to the final, I think it would be really, really good for Wexford football. Whereas for Down, they'll be thinking about bigger and better things. They'll be thinking about silverware football. They'll be thinking about even Ulster Championships. You look at the Ulster Championship now, there's only 2 Ulster teams in the Division 1 at Armagh, Donegal. Down will feel they can beat anyone in Ulster. They're at that stage in their development right now. They were very unlucky to go down to Division 3 last season. And I think that result against Westmeath would have irked them a few years ago. If I remember correctly, I think 2 Jonathan Lynham goals from Westmeath, and Westmeath won based on those 2 goals, and that's what got them over the line in the end narrowly. Down would have been sick in the way they conceded those goals 2 years ago. So I think, look, they would have had these past experiences then, and they don't want to repeat them now. I think Down will be too strong this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan says here, Down 123, Wexford 215. Yeah, I think we both probably would agree with that. Yeah, I'm going to go for a Down victory as well. I think Wexford might actually towards the end of the game, like, get a couple of 2-pointers and maybe make the game a little bit more interesting. But I do think it'll be one of them games where Down probably will have a fairly comfortable enough lead, and the game will be probably wrapped up really with about 10 minutes or so to go. The Division 4 final is Longford versus Carlow. It is interesting, 2 teams that maybe a lot of people wouldn't have expected to be in the Division 4 final at the start of the season. But it is both Longford and Carlow who are here, and look, you have to credit them. They've been the story of Division 4. Obviously, Longford had a bit of late drama themselves in terms of getting promoted with the late Daniel Reynolds point and everything else. So, yeah, like, to be fair, it's a great opportunity for 2 counties that haven't played in Croke Park in a long time. I think Carlow mightn't have played in Croke Park since 2018, maybe, the Leinster semi-final. And I'm not too sure about Longford, to be honest with you. I actually can't remember the last time they were in Croke Park. So, great opportunity for both of these 2.
It's a massive opportunity. I think I might be wrong on Longford, but I think it was the 2016 or 2015 Leinster semi-final against Dublin.
Yeah, it might have been, actually. Yeah, you're right, yeah.
So that's a long time ago from a Longford point of view. And they have done well, both of them. I'm just distracted by a comment here. The Wexford under-20s are leading Dublin by 6.
Yeah, yeah. When it rains, it pours. I mean, we had a great win. The Miners looked brilliant last night. And we're thinking we're back. But yeah, maybe we've... yeah, I don't know. The underage train, unfortunately, just doesn't seem to be happening for us. But anyway, the conversation for another day.
Yeah, exactly. But back to Longford and Carlow, they've done absolutely brilliant in the league campaign so far. Like, Carlow, the likes of Chris Blake and Colm Hulton, they've really excelled in this league, and they were going along very nicely. 4 wins out of 4, and then they kind of hit a speed bump. 2 losses in a row, but they've recovered really well last week against Leitrim. Like, Leitrim, their performance wasn't that great, but Carlow really did well in that. And obviously, of Longford, the stars they have, the likes of Matthew Carey, the Reynolds, and Daniel and Desi, and of course Owen Kenny as well, who, shameless plug, but he was on my podcast for an interview 5 years ago, I think it was. So yeah, he's developed into a very good player for Longford as well. So yeah, I'm delighted for him more than anything as well. So yeah, it should be an excellent game. Very hard to call, I would say. And both sides would want to win National Silverware up in Croke Park as well to end their league on a high, because realistically, none of them are getting to a Leinster final. And they might have a run in the Tailteann Cup, because I think there's a mad stat about the Tailteann Cup where the last 2 Division 4 winners actually got to the Tailteann Cup final. In Limerick, obviously last year, and Laois the year before, I think. So yeah, so it's an opportunity maybe to continue those omens for both of these sides. And a Tailteann Cup final for one of these in Carlow or Longford, that would be a sensational campaign. This is a tight one to call, it really is, because I think both sides would want to win it. Both sides would be kind of expressing themselves in Croke Park. Both have some very good players, very talented players there as well. Because Oran's on the Longford team, I'm going to go for Longford. Why not? I'm going to go Longford to win the game.
There we go. Sean says, from what I know, I'm just going to back Carlow. Brennan says, based off the league campaigns, this could be a very, very spicy championship. Yeah, it's definitely set up. Like, I think every provincial championship, like, you know, like I know a lot of people, like, no disrespect, will probably pick Kerry to win Munster. But again, I don't think that's a given. I don't think that's a given anymore. And I think every other championship is in the balance. You can make a case for any team. So, and then obviously I do like the new format as well. So I do agree. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting championship. I'm going to go for Carlow narrowly, to be honest with you. I think they have a little bit more in terms of attacking players with Chris Blake and Colm Hulton as well. So I'm going to go for them to get the job done and get the victory and get Carlow to get over the line and get the victory. But yeah, they are the Division 4 finals predicted and previewed. Ryan says here, Longford 118, Carlow 117, and Brendan says Munster will be a damn squid until the final. Yeah, that's the only thing. The final probably will be the only kind of real game. I do agree with you. I think like when you look at the gap now, you have 2 Division 1 teams from Munster, and then it's division, mid-table Division 3 and Division 4. Yeah, so there probably is quite a gap, you'd have to say, between the top 2 in Munster and everyone else. Moving on to the hurling finals then. We do have Kerry in action as well, and it is Laois that they will be playing in O'Muir Park Saturday, 2 p.m. Look, it's obviously brilliant for Kerry to get promoted and everything else, and maybe the shackles will be off a little bit as well. There'll be no pressure on them going into this one, getting promoted up to Division 1B. For Laois, I mean, look, they obviously will have their eyes set on the Joe McDonagh, and maybe focus might start shifting towards that. But yeah, this should be an interesting one as well.
Yeah, and look at the league campaign so far. It's kind of a shock to see Kerry go down at the Christie Ring this year. They got relegated for the Joe McDonagh. You would imagine with the league form they have shown, they'll bounce straight back up. But this game in particular is a good opportunity to win a national trophy and get a league title on the board. And yeah, they have some very good players, Kerry, I have to say. And I'm delighted Kerry hurling genuinely is doing well, because obviously if the hurling team does well, you'd be hoping it takes a bit out of the footballers. It won't, but look, it'd be great to see Kerry hurling move up through the ranks and move back to even where they're supposed to be in the Joe McDonagh Cup. But Ronan Walsh has been very good. Oisin Mansell has been absolutely excellent as well. Actually, a minor football captain for Kerry a few seasons back, but wasn't really good enough for the football, so switched to hurling, and he's been sensational in this league campaign, I have to say. Michael Sahari's been good. Jordan Brick, a guy called Dan Casey has been good for Kerry. Not the Dan Casey, super Dan Casey, but Dan Casey from a Kerry point of view, he's been very good in this league campaign as well. Kevin Goulding as well, Tom Doyle. So look, Kerry have some decent players, and they will put it up to Laois, even though it is away from home. And I'd imagine the reason their home venues are is because they top the league. That's what I'm thinking. That has to be sure.
But I think someone said to me that's the reason why the division, like the actual National Hurling League Finals, in the Gaelic grounds. I don't know if that's true. Yeah, I know Clare Dublin, obviously, Clare aren't getting the home advantage there, but yeah, I don't know. Someone said that to me on Twitter, and I was like, I don't know if that's true or not, but yeah.
Oh yeah, that actually makes the most sense, to be honest. honestly, the Gaelic Grounds was just picked because obviously it'll be a good venue and a good atmospheric venue for the game. But obviously that's for next week's preview. But for this game, like Laois have done brilliant in this campaign. Aaron Dunphy, Mossy Keys, James Keys, Killian Dunn, like they've done well in this campaign. And obviously the Joe McDonough, they would have been disappointed losing to Kildare. They've done well in this league campaign so far, and they've got 12 points out of 12 points on the board. 6 wins from 6. I'm expecting to make 7 wins out of 7. I think Laois will win this game, but Kerry should drive them very close.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go for Laois as well. I think they do have a little bit more firepower than this Kerry team. But I do agree. Look, obviously there is quite a Dublin-Kerry rivalry in football and everything else. But I do like when new teams come along in football, in hurling. And Kerry, to be fair, have been knocking on the door of getting up to Division 1 or even the All-Ireland Series for a good couple of years. So I think it is great to see. In the Division 3 final, we do have Wicklow versus Donegal. Donegal obviously with a big win versus the Rossies last time out, which landed them in this final. And Wicklow are here as well. So what are we thinking here?
Yeah, very interesting pairing. Obviously, Wicklow and Donegal did play during the normal league campaign, and Wicklow actually beat them. So yeah, it was a good win from a Wicklow point of view there. Obviously, if Donegal would have won that game, it would have been Donegal and Roscommon going up easy up to Division 2. But Wicklow threw a spanner in the works with the win over Donegal and then won their final game of the campaign against Laois. And obviously Donegal beat Roscommon in the Hyde, which was a fantastic result, I have to say, from Donegal's standpoint. Jory Gilmore, Richie Ryan, John Keeley, Liam McKinney, like they've been very good from Donegal's perspective. Obviously, you have the likes of the Burke players and these sorts of players from the Donegal perspective as well. Satanta, obviously, good club hurling sides up at Donegal, and they'll be hoping to get a national trophy on the board from their standpoint. And you look at Wicklow as well, like Podge Doyle has been good. Shawnee Germain has been a goal-scoring machine so far. Podge Dorn has been very, very good. So is Jack Phelan, Owen McCormick, Fionn Darcy. So Wicklow have some decent players and they top the division. But I think Donegal will be probably angered the way they lost to Wicklow during the regular league season. I think they want to turn around those fortunes. So I'm backing Donegal to win this game.
Yeah, I agree with you there as well. I think Donegal will be a little bit stronger, obviously coming in with a bit of a momentum, having beaten the Rossies as well. We do have Sligo versus Longford in the Division 4 final. Sligo coming in on the back of 6 wins from 6, and Longford are in there as well with 4 wins from their 6 games. Sligo obviously beat Longford earlier on in the campaign. So what are we thinking? 7 wins from 7 for Sligo, or could Longford maybe cause a bit of a surprise?
Yeah, especially being at home and Sligo absolutely hammering Longford. I know it was a dead rubber last week and it was a dress rehearsal for this game in the final, but I think Sligo just had too much firepower for Longford. Obviously, Longford have some decent players, the likes of Ruben Murray, Colin Milan, Martin Farrell, but Sligo have a lot more stars. Obviously, Andrew Kilcullen from Eastkey is an absolutely brilliant player. Tomas Calling has been absolutely brilliant. Robert O'Kelly Lynch, Gerard O'Kelly Lynch. I'm not sure they related, Aaron, but both of them have been absolutely sensational. Obviously, you have Owen O'Donoghue as well, who's been very, very good. And obviously, you have the Eastkey players who really tested Kilbrittain in the All-Ireland Junior final. Obviously, Kilbrittain, a team from Cork, close to home here. So yeah, Eastkey provided a very good game in that occasion as well. And you'd like to think Sligo hurling is on the way back up and they have some firepower up front. So I'd say Sligo to get over the line.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan says Sligo 420. Longford 15 points, and Sean was saying missed the Division 1 preview. Donegal after extra time. Yeah, it's going to be... Look, it is going to be a cracking weekend of action in football and hurling, no doubt about that. But if we turn our attention to the ladies' football, we do have Dublin versus Cork, first of all, round 7, Sunday, 2 p.m. Obviously, yeah, 2 teams, opposite ends of the table with different fights. Obviously, Cork are guaranteed a league final, so maybe they'll have nothing to play for in regards to this. Obviously, Dublin have everything to play for in terms of being relegated. It is interesting, at the start of the season, you probably would have backed Dublin to win this game comfortably, given Dublin, the season they had obviously last year, Cork coming in, maybe, being a little bit negative. The league has probably gone maybe the opposite way to some way that the people expected. Obviously, Dublin have been missing players and everything else. But with the fact that Cork are in a league final, does that open the door a little bit for Dublin? Obviously in Parnell Park as well. Like, as a Dublin fan, I do actually give us a great chance this weekend, to be fair.
I do as well, because Cork are already in the league final and they don't have much to play for. They'll obviously be going all guns blazing for the league final against Galway in the Gaelic Grounds in a few weeks' time. and that will be an opportunity for national silverware on the board for Joe Carroll's side. I think it's a case from a Cork point of view. Job's done. They've got to the league final. They might play a few rotational players here and there. I don't know what Joe Carroll would exactly be like in this situation, but I'd imagine that's what will happen from a Cork point of view. Dublin on the other side, they need the points to stay up. If they don't win this game, they are relegated. So that'll be at the back of the Dublin players' minds. And you'd think surely, if Kate Sullivan plays, if Carlow Rowe plays, surely Dublin have more of the want and more of the quality to get over the line this one. And they're at home in Parnell Park. If Dublin don't win this one, Aaron, I'll put it this way, they don't deserve to stay up in Division 1. So, yeah, I'm going to say Dublin.
Yeah, I'm going to back Dublin as well to get over the line. It is it's a must-win game, and I think we will. To be fair, look, it obviously will depend on other results as well. And Kildare are playing Kerry as well, which is very much like a relegation knockout game. But again, Kerry could still be safe. It might just depend on how Meath get on as well. But what are we thinking for this one?
Yeah, whoever loses this is relegated. Look at the table. So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting game when you look at it. You'd surely think Kerry are better than 2 wins in the league. Surely. Like Kerry have some quality players in Chief Roche and Daniel O'Leary. But again, it's kind of like the men's team. They need other players to step up. It's more of a problem in the ladies' football because obviously Schaefer is a very, very good player. But like you have players around from Kerry and they're just not contributing as much. And that is a massive problem. Kildare, I thought, like after getting a draw against Cork, I thought they'd be gone, to be honest with you, moving down the home stretch. And obviously with the win over Meath, they almost got the win last weekend only for an Anya O'Neill goal to break their hearts last week against Waterford. And that was a sucker punch for Kildare. Like it's at home. Kildare have a big chance in this one. But I think it surely has to click for Kerry. Surely they're better than 2 wins, simply put. I think Kerry will get over the line. Kildare will unfortunately get relegated.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go for the upset there in Kildare to get the victory. I do agree. Like it does have to click at some point for Kerry, but I do think they have just looked very vulnerable this year, in my opinion. And Kildare with the home advantage, I'm going to back them to maybe cause a bit of a surprise there. Meath versus Armagh. I suppose a bit to play for. Armagh obviously can't get relegated. I don't think so anyway from looking at it here. Maybe there is a scenario where they could get relegated actually, to be fair, in terms of score difference. But yeah, what we thinking for this one?
It's a very tricky one because obviously Armagh don't have the head-to-head on Dublin. So obviously that was a draw. So it's a very, very, very tight down the bottom. But with Kerry and Kildare playing each other, you would imagine 7 points is enough for Armagh to stay up. But looking at our predictions so far, Dublin to win. I'd say Kerry to win as well. So it'd be Kildare already relegated. So basically, if Meath lose this, they're getting relegated. And the fact they're at home in Summerhill, I think that should be enough for them to get over the line. I think Meath will have more of the want than Armagh to get this win. They're at home. I think Meath will win it.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And then we do have Waterford versus Galway. This is a dead rubber, so there really is nothing to mention here. But in terms of a prediction, what are you thinking?
Yeah, just quickly, I'm going to go for Waterford to win this one.
Yeah, I think I'll go for Waterford there as well. Running through the National League Division 2 Round 7. So I'll give you some quick picks here. It's Mayo versus Monaghan, Cavan versus Westmeath, Donegal versus Wexford, and Tipperary versus Tyrone. What are we thinking here?
So first of all, Tipperary against Tyrone. I'm going to back Tipperary. I've been impressed with what I've seen from them so far, and it's the games at home for them. Donegal against Wexford. I think Donegal will win that one. I think Mayo will beat Monaghan, and I think Cavan will get over the line against Westmeath.
Yeah, and then in Division 3, we do have Clare versus Roscommon, Louth versus Laois, Fermanagh versus Limerick, and Down versus Antrim. What are we thinking here?
Yeah, I'd say Fermanagh will beat Limerick. I'm going to say Laois to beat Louth. I'm going to say Antrim to beat Down, and I'm going to say Roscommon to get over Clare.
Yeah, and then we do have the Division 4 semi-finals as well. So we have Carlow versus Offaly, and then we do also have Leitrim versus Sligo as well. What are we thinking here?
Yeah, Carlow Offaly is a very, very interesting tie. Like Carlow have some decent players, the likes of Cúilín and Ishii and all those players. Yeah, Offaly are going well at the moment. I'm going to say Carlow. They've topped the table deservedly, so I think they'll get over the line and get to the final and get promoted. I think Leitrim had to beat Sligo. Like, Leitrim were playing senior a few years ago. It's just a miracle in a way that they're down to Division 4. I'm not sure how that has happened. But yeah, they'll beat Sligo. I think it'll be Leitrim and Carlow to get promoted.
Perfect. I agree with you there. So yeah, that is all the action previewed and predicted, and everything else from the National Football League, the National Hurling League, and also the Ladies Football League as well. DC did have a comment here as well, actually saying, lads, did you see the GA Plus schedule? What do you think? I suppose, obviously, yeah, we could go into this in a lot more detail. To be fair, maybe we probably should save that for another show. Very quickly, look, I do think there's a lot of good games there. To be fair, I do think it's a good schedule. I don't actually know whether they're taking games away from RTE and everything else, though, and I think that's the problem. That's the issue. I have no problem with extra games, but I think if we're taking games away from RTE and obviously TG Carr don't show championship, like that would be a bit of a problem. Maybe very quickly, what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think it looks a very good schedule, and to be fair, the presenters, the likes of Granny McElwain, Ashton O'Reilly, I've been probably praising them over the last few years in terms of their presenting style. It's been absolutely sensational. The pundits are very good as well. I think the selection of games has been excellent as well, but the one probably negative is the fact that it isn't like LOI TV in the League of Ireland. It isn't showing every single game, and that's the one qualm I would have over GA Plus. But other than that, look, they've some good pundits, good presenters. They show some good content as well, and they come up with podcasts as well, which is great to see. But I think it is probably a debate that we need to talk about in another show. But yeah, I just hope it's like LOI TV in the next few years.
100%. Ryan says, thanks, lads. See you on Sunday. Yeah, we'll wrap things up. What am I saying? We'll wrap things up here, lads. Do hit the like button and subscribe if you could. And yeah, we'll be back on Sunday.